Hello friends! Thought I would do a quick overview for the Dawn of the Monsters Arcade Edition DLC and free update. I put up a bunch of gameplay when the embargo lifted a couple days ago, but I actually recorded that like over a month ago. I wasn't sure if they were going to do like bug fixes or balance patches or anything like that, so I kind of didn't want to like really review stuff until I knew, but apparently they're not. I looked on the Steam database, there haven't been any updates at all. So we're going to go ahead and go into this. First thing I should say is this update or DLC and free update combo is very similar to how Streets 4 worked, where this here, the New Game Plus, is a free update, and the arcade mode is a paid update, or paid DLC. So if you pay for the DLC, you'll get the arcade mode, and you'll also get Meteor Temujin. So I've beaten the game twice. I did this mode, and I did this one. I haven't done this one yet, but we'll go ahead and show this off. It's pretty much the same thing. The enemies scale up. There don't seem to be any new tiers of perks. There's no new perks either, so I think right now it's kind of interesting because, in a way... Oh wow, my save's not updated. My save's not updated, but we'll worry about that later. You can make your own builds in here, as you can see. Like on these two are very meter reliant, so I have them built around meter gain. But what's interesting about the arcade mode is you can actually have up to 10 upgrades at a time, so your build can actually be more powerful than it is here. It's just, you know, it's going to be on a case-to-case basis. So let's go ahead into the training mode. Go ahead and show off Meteor Temujin here. Okay, so this character is pretty interesting because it's basically like a Dynasty Warrior 7 or 8 character in that you have your rage attacks. Rage attacks are also weapon switches, so if you played Dynasty Warrior 7 or 8, you know how when you would push the weapon switch button, they would do an attack corresponding to the weapon. That's pretty much how it works here, so... Sword switch attack is basically like a Tails move. Also, this character has unique combos for each weapon as well. So for this weapon, the sword, it's triangle twice and then hold. You can get a wall bounce off that. Now the axe throws out an axe, as you can see. For this weapon, it's push the attack button once and then hold it and then push it again. Now for the hammer, big helm breaker, standard slow but powerful weapon, and you also have you hold triangle. Okay, so let's put all this together now. So the whole triangle string, also OTGs, so hammer's actually really good. That's basically the gist of the moveset. Now, the thing that makes this character unique is that pretty much very Super Sentai there, obviously. Its super is basically an install super, so, you know, like Dragon install and stuff like that. Berserker charge, etc. So you kind of have to put in a lot more work to do damage with it, but generally with this character you want to build around rage. So if you have a lot of rage, you can pretty much just decimate the enemies, you can stack status effects, and you can also do more damage as well. Let's go ahead and look at the manual here. Yeah, you get a buff when you switch weapons as well. So this is one of the only characters in the game that can proc 2 status effects. Very, very powerful. Now, the thing about this character that's a weakness, in my opinion, and kind of makes it a little bit frustrating to play in the roguelike mode, is that every special move or rage attack, as this game calls it, costs 2 bars. So that means that you're gonna get, you know, manhandled by the enemies a lot unless you have bars. So you definitely want to build this character around meter gain. And that's basically the whole moveset. Just thought I'd do a little quick overview. So now we're going to check out the arcade mode. Arcade mode is about 45 minutes to an hour long, depending on how fast you go and how well you play. But generally it will be under an hour, so I've actually been playing this on my kitty sitting streams. It's pretty fun. Alright. My save from my Steam Deck is not transferring for some reason, so I'll have to fix that later, but all I really did was finish the game. It's not really a big deal. In any case, you have leaderboards, and I think that for a roguelike, the leaderboards in this are actually pretty good. I always think that leaderboards and roguelikes are kind of memes because everybody's going to get different stuff, and people will just reset over and over until they can beat the game in 3 minutes. You can't really get that broken overpowered in this, but also enemy spawns are fixed. The enemies are the same. They spawn in the same place, and they're the same monsters every single time. So there's a lot more consistency involved. If you want to see here, I guess these are all people that got early releases and developers as well. I'm up here in 3rd place on classic mode. And in single-player rogue mode, I'm in 4th place. So it's going to be a forced 1cc either way, so that means that you will have to beat the game on 1 credit. However, the scoring system is actually pretty good. It takes the scoring system from the main game and basically enhances it. You get like bonuses for no missing. You get extends like that as well. They really did their homework. It actually does feel like they could release this mode as an arcade game on like Exa Arcadia or something, and people would probably like it. I was actually very impressed to see things like more like deeper scoring, and then like having extends from score and stuff like that, which is always really fun. So let's go ahead and do a quick little rogue mode here. There's normal and nightmare. I haven't touched nightmare yet, but I think the spawns are actually the same. So the thing about this mode as well that they don't really mention is that you do not have any of the story upgrades. The story mode in this game has like permanent upgrades. You can get more health and rage bar and everything. Your character is pretty much going to be stock, minus having 2 cataclysm bars, which is basically your super attack, and then the max rage. You'll have that, but your health is going to be like half of what it normally is, so you definitely have to be careful. It definitely feels like in this mode, using executions to get your health back is more of something you actually want to do, whereas in the story mode, there's ways to regain health that don't involve that. So we're going to go ahead and go with Prime here. Just show a little bit of the gameplay loop. So the scoring system for like overkill bonuses and stuff is the same as the base game, but you also get like bonuses for breaking buildings, for getting a no-miss, things like that. That's pretty much a perfect run. That should be an S+. So you have a time limit like an actual arcade game, but kind of like a lot of the other modern beat-em-ups, you're like never gonna you're never gonna run out of time if you're like at least trying to play. It's far more likely that you would lose your credit and run out of time. But it is what it is. They're trying to be faithful to arcade games, and I think that they did a very good job. They didn't have to like completely revamp or partially revamp the scoring system so that you actually get extends like a real arcade game, but you know, the Mad Lads did it, so I'm happy for that. As somebody who grew up in the arcades, very happy to see that. I mean, they even went the extra mile and made the spawns the same as well. I think the scoring system kind of could have been pretty crappy if they didn't do that. Speedrun leaderboards for roguelikes in general are always kind of a little bit weird, just because there's so much RNG. I feel like even if you got a crap build, you would still have a pretty good chance of ranking high. So you fight all 5 bosses in the game. There are 10 normal levels, and then the last level is the final boss from the story. So, pretty much, they took the main exciting parts from the game and they just made an arcade mode out of it. Can't really complain about that. Oops. And there you go. That's pretty much the gameplay loop. I'm not going to play through the whole thing, otherwise this overview video is going to be over an hour long. But basically, at the end of every level, you will get a chance, and if you're on classic mode, then the choices are fixed. But if you're on roguelike mode, they're randomized. So as you can see there, I got enough for an extend. And like I said, they also went the extra mile, and they also made it so all your lives get turned into points at the end of the game, kind of like an actual arcade game, which is really cool. So for this character, I thought I'd give a little bit of a little primer or a little tip here. For this character and Meteor Temujin, you definitely want for the combo. Now, for the combo, as you can see here, it doubles the meter gain from your attacks, but your attacks do 50% less damage. Now, especially in this mode, since you can equip 10 power-ups or upgrades instead of just 3, there are ways. I've cleared this mode like multiple times. There are ways to make it so that the deficit in damage that you get from taking this, you can easily compensate for it with other damage sources. So if you see for the combo, it's always worth picking up as soon as you see it, mostly because those two characters can really control the enemies and also burst down bosses. They're good for mobbing and bossing. You just have to find some other damage source. So let's go ahead and show this off really quick before I sign off here. I know there's not really a lot of build videos for this, which is kind of interesting because it actually has a pretty deep build system, deeper than you would expect from a beat 'em up of all things. But there are like actual builds in this, and I feel like that's the main reason why this mode is so cool, because this game already had like a lot of really opportunities for creative builds and stuff. So even though they didn't add any new upgrades, the ones that are in the game are like more than enough to make this a pretty fun roguelike. And the length was kept in check too. You know, it's only maybe about 50 minutes long on average. Prime doesn't need for the combo as much as Meteor Temujin was. I think for both of them it's best in slot, but Meteor Temujin definitely needs it because all his rage attacks take 2 bars. So when you only have 1 bar, you're pretty crippled. You can't really do much. Alright, well there you go. We're going to go ahead and sign off there, but that's the gameplay loop. This mode is really fun, and I think they did... Well, I mean, honestly, they partially got lucky, just because the base game had a really expansive upgrade and build system, and certain things were good on, you know, one character, and you wouldn't take them on the other. So, in that aspect, they got lucky, because they made a really robust build system. It's just that there was no New Game Plus or anything to really use it on, so it kind of felt flat. But because they put so much effort into the upgrades and the build system, there's actually a lot of decision making, and I think that it makes this mode quite fun. Also, they kept things bite-sized as well. You could easily beat this on a commute or a lunch shift or something if you're on Switch or Steam Deck. So I definitely recommend buying it. I think it's only going to be like $7, so it's going to be about as much as the Streets 4 DLC, and it's very similar to that. You know, they added Mania Plus to Streets 4, and that was free, and I think the training mode was free, but then everything else was paid. So you can definitely check out the New Game Plus and maybe try to get an idea of some builds. And if you decide that you want a roguelike with actual good gameplay, good like beat 'em up gameplay, I think this mode is actually a little bit more interesting than Streets 4's because it doesn't really scale up a lot. You don't get like 800 enemies on the screen like a Muso game. It's very controlled and it's very much like the main game. It's just that, you know, it's in an arcade setting, which I think is really cool. I think they really fixed the main complaint of this game, which is, you know, it's a great game and it has a lot going for it, especially as a tokusatsu game. I mean, this is one of the best toku games ever made, but it had no replay value, and I think now, you know, they pretty much have fixed that. So, if you'd like to see some commentated videos, go ahead and let me know. While we wait for the next BlazBlue Entropy Effect update, I'll probably do maybe 2 videos, one with Prime and one with Temujin. They're really the only 2 characters I play in this game so far, and we'll go from there. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys later. Happy Dawn of the Monsters DLC launch day.